Here we go again. August 1st, Sunday submission. Ed Carbajal for MMANews.com. Make sure you check out MMANews.com for all of your UFC, Bellator, and Pro Fight League, Professional Fighters League results. Today is Sunday, August 1st. I'm Ed Carbajal. You can follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. So you can check out all the other content I do for the sport of combat mixed martial arts. Sorry I'm mixing up here, but it's my second time recording this goddamn thing. Had an audio issue and just some quick since I'm talking about it, I'll give you an update, some quick housekeeping. I did do a Sunday submission last week. I did it for BKFC 19, UFC Vegas 32. You know how I break up the screen like so when I add it to the stream, and sometimes there'll be some highlights on the website that these sources put up for folks to see and embed and things like that. I usually do mute it. I guess I wasn't quick enough on the draw for something, and ESPN gave us a strike for some highlight I shared last week. I do stream again. I stream it on my Twitter, and I have a Twitch channel that I stream to, just kind of like as a backup. So you can see it there if you want to check out last week's Sunday submission, so you can see what happened. Maybe you can tell me what I did wrong or whatever. But the YouTube algorithm's just a pain in the ass, and if you try to point anything out to them, it's not even worth doing, because you're lucky if you get a human being. You know, but I did plug some really great interviews that we had again up at the MMAnews.com YouTube channel. Click the thumbs up, bell notification, subscribe, all that, so you can see. James Lynch got a chance to speak with both champion and challenger of Bellator 263 main event. He talked with Pitbull and AJ McKee, who is now your Bellator featherweight champion. I'm going to talk a lot about him. Again, I just did this. It was 30 minutes, so I got to do another 30 minutes. And if this one comes out like ass, guess what? That's what's going to get uploaded, because I'm already tired. I'm recording this. I didn't stream it on my like I normally do, like I just said I normally do, because with both events going on, I had to record one and watch the other. So, given the UFC card was falling apart early that week, I recorded the UFC and I watched Bellator as it went down. And if you missed Bellator 263, you messed up as a fight fan. I know MMAnews.com likes to cater to the UFC centric folks, but you know, they got me doing this, so I'm gonna say what I gotta say. And so we'll start with that. Hopefully, again, I'm sorry for the dad noises and stuff I'm clearing into the audio, but this was let me get to the results here. That was my author page of all the stuff that I write, or that they let me write. Here we go. You have Bellator 263 results and highlights. Make sure you check out this page out at MMAnews.com, because again, I'm not going to click play on some of this stuff because I don't want to get the YouTube channel in any trouble or anything like that. But if you didn't watch this fight, long time coming, featherweight Grand Prix. It feels like the longest Grand Prix tournament ever in mixed martial arts. Fernando and I, the pandemic started March 11th. I remember it like it was yesterday. March 11th, it was a Wednesday, 2020. I was supposed to go to Mohegan Sun to cover the Pitbull Carvalho fight, which was part of the Grand Prix. And our current champion, new champion, AJ McKee, congratulations to young Mr. McKee. He was facing Darren Caldwell. That press conference was March 9th. We actually have video up on this YouTube channel. Hopefully I can backlink it to the when I upload. But we have Fernando Quiles, who's also a contributor here at MMAnews.com. He and I split the room. He did some interviews. He took one half of the guests over there. I took the other half, and I had the pleasure of speaking with McKee. And the thing about that interview that you don't see when you watch it, McKee was looking at the featherweight belt, because they have it out there for display. Bellator lays it out, for media and stuff to take pictures and put the tables together. And he's holding it and looking at it, and he's just like, I just want to see, I got to see how it feels, for when I win it or whatever he said. And then I do my interview with him. The kid has been visualizing his whole career. I've been watching him fight. I think my first fight, I was at Mohegan Sun. I was covering Bellator 178. This was in 2017. I think it's Bellator 178. Um, and I was covering a Bellator event at Mohegan Sun for another outlet back then. I was a, I'm still a small guy now, but I was smaller than than I am now. And he fought Dominic Mazzata. Mazzata was being billed as the favorite. McKee was the underdog back then. I think he was only like 7-0 or something back then. I forget what his record was. He's 18-0 now. But drink some water. Again, my throat's dry because it's the second time I'm recording this. The thing about that fight was I think Mazzata had a win over Cody Garbrandt or someone that was trending in the UFC at the time. So people were just kind of like, he was going to run through, they were ignoring the fact that AJ McKee is a second generation mixed. This is back then. Second generation mixed martial artist. His father, Antonio McKee, fought in Pride. You can find all his old fights. Him and his father shared a Bellator card not so long ago, pre-pandemic, I think. But there was just something about someone so young having so much focus and just sports professionalism or sportsmanship, whatever you want to call it. The kick that he finished, I think we have that up on here actually as a GIF. I might be able to play it for you. Is it a GIF? Because Bellator does, I don't have to worry about the audio and ESPN getting all butthurt and messing up the YouTube channel. Let's see. We have a lot of the highlights on the MMANews.com YouTube page, but oh no, this is video, so I can't play it for you. But he won. But that setup right there, if you look at his if you look at his right foot, that comes right up to the side of they circle each other for a good amount of time. There was a lot of feeling out before they started firing off. And what's funny about the fight is if you watch enough Pitbull fights, Pitbull's got an overhand right. Watch the fight. They circulated the highlight when he knocked out Michael Chandler. He'll draw you in. He'll kind of like go forward, come back, and that right hand is waiting to go so that when you throw yours, he slips it and his comes over, the top or the bottom or, right behind the ear. That's how he dropped Michael Chandler. You could see he was trying to do that in this fight at the beginning. And it's funny because in the post-fight press conference, McKee said that he saw someone from his corner, or he saw him. They were watching him prep in the back, and McKee kind of said, "Well, they just saw some of my cards, so I'm gonna have to change the game plan." And he did that with when he did what he did last night. So he decided to. So that left high kick that he threw was similar to how he knocked out Mazzata, almost just as fast. And but the thing is, it's Pitbull, so he wasn't out he was messed up from the kick. It dropped him, sent him reeling back. But he came back at McKee to finish him. And I know there was one punch that McKee threw before he threw the left uppercut that landed that finally put Pitbull down, where and then he holds up his hands briefly to celebrate. But it's Pitbull. At that moment, he was still champion, so he was still trying to fight. So he got back up, and McKee met him as he rose, put him in the guillotine. It's super tight. We've already seen the submission with Darian Caldwell. He's got a couple other submissions under his record. I mean, this is what growing up in an MMA gym will produce. He said in the post-fight press conference that he's been seeing this moment and envisioning it since he was 4 years old. He's 26. So it's just amazing to see him get there. The thing about the win, I mean, if you watch, it looks like Pitbull kind of disputed it afterward, but then he came to realize in the post-fight press conference that maybe there's nothing to dispute there. It's a legit win. The rematch is probably going to happen at 155 because that's the thing. Pitbull has the 155 title. It's a weight class McKee wants to get to. He said it. Scott Coker said it. He actually admitted that he has. It's getting as he's 26, but he's getting older, and as he gets older, he sees making that weight becoming more difficult for him, one for the 145-pound weight class. Um, it's a little disheartening to hear the new champion talk about them not being able to defend the or not. He didn't say he's not going to defend it, because he was also challenging other 145ers. So don't I'm I don't want to say anything the wrong way, because he just admitted that it's Scott Coker said it, McKee admitted it, that it's hard for him to make the 145-pound weight. But he also said he'd like to fight Max Holloway. Somebody offered him up who would you fight between Volkanovski or Brian Ortega, Volkanovski, and Max Holloway, and McKee said he'd like to fight Max Holloway because of his dominance in that weight class. So I don't think he's going to kiss goodbye to the featherweight class yet, especially since he just won the title. But it is a little concerning when you hear the new champion talk about. That's the thing about champ stuff; it does affect another division and other fighters. I think we saw that happen at its worst with Conor McGregor when he was a champ. An interim title. You don't want. I mean, Bellator could just do another tournament, like they're doing, or they did their interim light heavyweight title, right? For was it heavyweight or light heavyweight? I'm confusing because of Rand Bader's involvement in the light heavyweight tournament. Yeah, so it's heavyweight. So it is what it is. When you look at combat sports and divisions and guys that want to be dominant, I mean, as long as they can make the weight healthily and defend those titles, then I'm all for it. But if you have a concern about not making the weight, then that's going to be concerning as a promoter and as fight fans, and for your own health too. So, what's cool about McKee is, though, he seems to listen to his father, who's been around the block and fought everywhere, fought all over the world. So it's interesting to see him, even in the post-fight press conference, he's looking to his father, and like when people are asking what's next, he's like, I don't know, maybe I'll do this. I have to see what the teacher says, and I don't know. That's pretty cool. I seriously do believe that the growth of the sport of mixed martial arts, ESPN would only cover like very way back, before the sport got as popular as it is now. ESPN would only cover like significant things, but this is a story. This whole thing with him and his father, and just getting to this point and being undefeated, and the growth of the sport now, winning $1 million. I feel like that's something for the 30 for 30. If ESPN 30 for 30 needs something to make something about, that would be cool to watch. But they're not on ESPN network though, so maybe Showtime could do something there, especially since they're in the mixed martial arts business now. So if you watch this, Espinosa, you might want to do some featurettes on the McKees. Excuse me. Drinking coffee and water, so that's probably not good. And when your throat is dry, recording something twice. All right. And the Bellator 263 event overall, we have the full results up at MMANews.com. This co-main event delivered: Emmanuel Sanchez versus Mads Burnell. That win for Burnell, it was a decision win, probably the biggest win over his career against a former champion Sanchez. Usman Nurmagomedov, if you recognize that last name, it's because that's Khabib's cousin. He was on the card, and he first round TKO. We have that actually up on here. Some of these are GIFs, so I can play them for you. I mean, this was the end of the Sanchez Burnell, where they just show each other respect. There's no sound in that, so I don't think we're gonna get anybody crying about what I play on this YouTube channel. But this fight was a fun scrap. So Burnell put himself on the map with that win. Here's Usman. Is this one I can play? Yeah. You can see the shadows of Khabib's training. Team Khabib. There's a lot of Dagestani fighters. There you go. There's a lot of Dagestani fighters on that card. That was something that they're going to Russia for the Fedor in October, for Fedor's fight in October. That's going to be something to keep an eye out for. That people were talking about how heavy it was. Not just all those Dagestani fighters were coached by Team Khabib, or that the whole AKA connection that they have there. So that's they just did the fighters only award nomination. Might have been a little too late for Khabib to be added to that, but I wouldn't be surprised if next year Khabib is like a coach of the year, coach nominee situation. Um, but trying to think what else did I mention the first time we recorded this. I got pissed off and just started recording again. So um the uh UFC 33, UFC Vegas 33. So that event was down to 10 cards as we move on to the UFC that was also on. Again, I recorded this, watched it this morning. I had to watch the UFC this morning because I watched the Bellator event live. So let me just read off what happened to that card before what got it down to 10 cards. This started happening like week of. So if you go to UFC.com/news, you can read all the issues that had the fight dwindle down. Some of these got moved to future events, but not all of them. Not all of them. Were movable things. Some of them you probably heard about at length. Some of them you probably expected. Sadly, but let's get to them. So again, this is from UFC.com/news. Due to please note the following changes. This is what they put out like an hour before first bell. Due to visa issues, Monir Lazzez has been removed from his welterweight bout with Nicholas Stoles. Stoles will now face Jared Gooden, who steps in on short notice, looking to make a statement and secure his first UFC victory. Due to visa issues, Roman Kopylov has been removed from his middleweight bout with Sam Alvey. As a result, the bout has been canceled from the card, and they moved Alvey to face Wellington Turman at UFC Fight Night Barboza versus Chikadze. That's August 28th. And here comes the COVID-19 protocols. Due to COVID-19 protocols, the heavyweight bout between Shamil Abdurakhimov versus Chris Duckhouse is canceled. So they moved that to UFC 266 Volkanovski Ortega card on September 25th. And then the Nico Montano weigh-in issue. They say the news thing on the UFC's website says Nico Montano weighed in above the bantamweight limit. I believe it was 7 pounds. As a result, her bout with Wu Yanan was canceled. She put something up on her social media apologizing and trying to talk about how, I forgot what she said, something about her metabolic. I forget what you have to look at her social, but they canceled the bout. 7 pounds is a lot. Due to health reasons with Ronnie Lawrence, his bout with Trevin Jones was canceled. Phil Rowe weighed in above the welterweight limit. He was the first fight on this card, and he forfeited 20% of his purse to his opponent. But the fight went on. He won his fight. It was actually a pretty decent fight. We're going to look at the results on MMANews.com in a second. And then the last one on their announcement, the UFC's announcement, was due to COVID protocols. The bout between Kyung Ho Jang and Rani Yaha was canceled. That was supposed to be the co-main event. So that Cheyenne Bai's fight wound up, getting bumped up to that spot. It kind of took the steam out of the UFC's sales. Like if you were, for all the UFC Saturday nights that we all stay up and watch and get on social and talk about, if you were like trying to weigh your options, which one should I watch, that would definitely make you, do what I did. I mean, I personally, I like Bellator. You guys, I say it almost every week. I'm not a UFC nut hugger fan, whatever you want to call it. I like the sport of mixed martial arts tournaments. As a martial artist student myself, the tournaments is just something that will always make me want to. That's why I like the Professional Fighters League. That's why I like when Ryzen does their thing. That's why I loved Pride with their Grand Prix. And this was the final of a Grand Prix with Bellator last night. So it doesn't take a lot to pull me away from the standard cut and paste of main event and here's a bunch of fights versus what we had last night with the $1 million on the line over at Bellator 263. But we do have the full results of those the fights that did move forward. And again, I recorded it. I didn't ignore it. I watched it before I did this as late as I did it today because of all the heavy. We got more fights tonight too. If you're a Cage Warriors fan, the Cage Warriors is a UK promotion. It's where Conor McGregor came from. For all you Conor McGregor fans that don't know that, the Cage Warriors they're making their first move. This is their first event on United States, so it's also in California. So that's tonight on UFC Fight Pass. Oddly enough, they didn't bring their UK fighters. It's funny. I was talking about it with my the podcast I do, Coast to Coast Combat Hour, Matt Hawkins, and one of the he was at Bellator and he's going to this Cage Warriors event tonight, by the way. So man in the arena, but he said that one of the things that kind of took the steam out of wind out of his sails to go see that event was I was hoping they were going to bring UK fighters, but sometimes Matt doesn't, he doesn't. It's COVID, dude. Not everybody can travel the world, just as easily as you can get around California. Come on, bro. But anyway, let's look at this UFC. But speaking of that Cage Warriors card, if it's not on your radar, remember Max Rushkoff, who he was the guy that fought in the UFC and then kind of like he had like an adrenaline dump or something and lost his fight or quit on the stool, and he like disappeared for a while. So like he's got his stuff together now, and he's trying to make his comeback tonight on the Cage Warriors card. So I'm watching that because I actually always liked that kid. I saw a lot of his stuff when he was coming up. I thought he was going to do well in the UFC. It was just a weird thing, they're human beings, people. Like you can't hang all these, especially combat sport athletes. I mean, they're putting their bodies on the line for entertainment and the glory of combat and competition. So anyway, let's look at the UFC results with these last 10 minutes. Try to do a minute a fight. I'm not going to play that because ESPN was the one that screwed us up last week with my last Sunday submission. Again, I'll drop the link to my Twitch to where I backed it up on. If you want to watch last Sunday's submission, maybe you could let me know what I did wrong. But and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself because this whole thing is me repeating myself since it's the second time I'm recording it. But really quick, going through these 10 fights that did happen, I just mentioned the Phil Rowe. Even though he forfeited 20% of his purse, he got a second round TKO against his opponent. Another fight that I was happy to see Jin Fry pick up a win against Ashley Yoder, and I really like both fighters. So not to just take anything away from Yoder, but I believe Fry was on a 2-fight losing streak. If you're new in the UFC and you know anything about the UFC, you lose 3 fights, they send you elsewhere. So being someone that was coming from Invicta, I followed her whole Invicta career. I'm happy that she got the win. That was probably a win or go home situation for her. So I'm glad that she won. This fight with Chris Grutzmacher and Chris Grutzmacher and Rafa Garcia, all out war, fun fight to watch. As was this Jason DeWitt and Brian Barberina fight. That was a majority decision that I enjoyed. Usually when fights, me, I always talk about finishers, but I enjoy when fights go, if they go to decision, make it a hard decision. You know what I mean? This fight with Cheyenne Buys versus Gloria DePaula, it was a first round knockout, TKO. And I have to say something about she won a performance bonus, and I want to while I still have time, I want to leave you with a thought on again, comparing when you're looking at Bellator and the UFC and the sport overall. And then the main event was Sean Strickland. I know Sean Strickland was making news because of the nonsense he was talking at the post-fight press conference. I got this one wrong. I actually picked Uriah Hall to win. I'm not surprised that he lost by decision, but I was kind of hoping he'd pick up a W because he just seems to his striking style and sometimes he's one of these guys that sometimes he's off and sometimes he's on, and I guess he had an off night against Sean Strickland. Maybe I have to rewatch it, but there's definitely not the Uriah Hall I was hoping would show up. I mean, I would think because of the thing that happened with Chris Weidman, he didn't take too much damage. He could fight again. So I thought maybe being fresh and healthy would have worked in his favor, but I guess Strickland just brought it to him a little bit better than expected. But let me see how much time I have left because I want to talk about this thing. So I had read off a statistic. Pompliano, Where's this thing from Pompliano? Joe Pompliano tweeted. So this life-changing bonus. MMA Junkie put out a headline on Twitter because Cheyenne Bice, she got the $50,000 bonus, and she's talked about how she was negative in her bank account, and you know, so she just got $50,000 for that finish that she got. So Joe Pompliano, who where does he readhuddleup.com, 273. He's apparently he's a somebody. He's a somebody, whereas I'm a nobody. But so I want to read his quote. He puts up some interesting numbers. This isn't a feel good story here. He's talking about the Cheyenne Bias thing with the $50,000 bonus because she breaks down and cries when they tell her this. And you feel for her, you're happy for her, but then when you see stuff like number like this come up, it's almost. I have to agree with Pompliano here. This isn't a feel good story, he says. Here's a percentage of revenue given to athletes by each league. Major League Baseball, 54%. NBA, 50%. National Hockey League, 50%. NFL, 48%. The UFC, 16%. So he says the UFC is in the middle of a 5-year, $1.5 billion deal with ESPN. And he does a whole thread about it, but it's weird because her, happy for her, but it's like it's almost this weird, you can't get away from the thing with fighter pay, especially when it comes to this sport. So this is what's going to bring me back to Bellator because McKee won $1 million winning that featherweight tournament last night. It's not the best money, the Jake Paul versus somebody in boxing obviously pays more than that. But it's just something that's the fighter pay issue in mixed martial arts has to start to see some sort of as popular as the sport's getting, we have to get to a resolution where if you interview fighters that fought in MMA, especially the older ones that have tried other things, they'll tell you flat out preparing for the options and the rule set of mixed martial arts is super hard and damaging on the body. Um, so that's why a lot of them want to go to boxing because for nothing, boxing is just easier. They don't have to worry about takedowns, grappling. The rounds are shorter. It's not 5-minute rounds. It's 2-3 minutes, maybe 4. I'm thinking about kickboxing's 4-minute rounds, but um, it's very taxing on them, and for all the hype and growth that the sport has gotten, they still make the least amount of money. So it's something that I'm gonna leave you guys with, just because I'm really glad Cheyenne buys. She's sacrificing. She's negative in her bank account. Uh, McKee Senior and his son AJ, who's the champion last night, they made their sacrifices. If you watch that post-fight press conference with AJ and him looking to his father standing there and remembering when he was a kid in the gym and Rampage in his corner there to support him, it just shows. He even commented. He was like, "What did he say?" He said something along the lines of like, "Do you feel you've corrected something in the sport?" And he was like, "No." He's like, "Yes, because of the comparison, the money's more." But he's like, "Now it's time to get revenge because now he wants to do something more to bring more money into the sport." To the point that he even said, "Yes, I'll fight UFC. Let's get these belts together." He offered to unify the belts, and if we see stuff like that happen, I think we don't have to worry about Cheyenne Buys crying for because she crying tears of joy because she got a $50,000 bonus that she probably had to beg for. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things that, as much as you love to watch it, and we're all fans of it, the human side of it never gets to the human beings that are in there, and what they sacrifice never gets enough recognition. That's why I've been interviewing a lot of like newer fighters for other outlets lately. But that's the thought I want to leave you with. But great Saturday night if you're an MMA fan. In the meantime, let's support these fighters by keeping these shows alive and keeping the sport trending. Congratulations to all the winners. I'm really happy. I really do love the story of the whole McKee thing. So if you didn't watch it, make sure you watch watch his other fights. Pluto TV. You can watch old Bellator events for free because they don't have like a Fight Pass version, like UFC does, or you can just pull them up. But check out Pluto TV if you want to watch, especially like that Mazada fight that I talked about. And that's it from me. Make sure you click the bell notification, thumbs up for the MMAnews.com YouTube channel. Go to MMAnews.com for all your MMA news and results. And if you want to see more regional stuff, you can follow me on Twitter at Carbazel and all the other stuff I do and podcasts and all that stuff like that. That's it for me. Hopefully this one comes out good. Happy Sunday. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe.